The fact that they didn't call this the Equalizer is kind of upsetting to me. Maybe more than it should, but just you gotta catch up on that like marketing and all that. That could have been fine. But either way, with that being the title or not, I did recently watch The Equalizer 3. This was pretty much watching it on a whim. I've seen the first two in passing, but I don't really remember a lot of them. David Harbour is in the second one. That's really the only detail I remember about the either of them. But yeah, I pretty much saw this on a whim because apparently this was supposed to be pretty good. And yeah, I don't know how long or short this is gonna be because I thought this was pretty surprisingly great. Basically, Robert McCall is pretty much retired. He's out living in Italy, and the Camorra is starting to like take over this town and just really wreak havoc on the civilians there. So Robert McCall just goes to action and says, I can't be in peace, I'll make it peaceful. I'll say that a pretty unexpected part of this for me was how much there was an emphasis on the people of Sicily, which is where we spend most of the movie, and the fact that there, for a huge chunk of the movie, there's not a bunch of action. We're sitting with Robert McCall and just learning about the people of Sicily. We don't have to know their names, but we know them well enough that they are good people that happen to be terrorized by the Italian mafia. And yeah, we don't know their names, but we don't have to. This is something that you have that human connection to. Like, oh yeah, these people are good. One's a police officer that's not corrupt. One's a doctor. One's someone that sells food on a stand. You know, good people. And when there is action, it's surprisingly gory in a couple of ways. I don't remember 1 and 2 being that violent, but there are some pretty gruesome moments in this that honestly Denzel Washington sells pretty well. I do have to say this. I think Denzel Washington is one of the best actors working right now. You could make a case for him being one of the best actors ever. And I think it didn't really dawn on me until now how impactful that was until I was sitting in the theater with a bunch of geriatric people. The showing I went to was sold out, and there were like 60, 70, 80-year-old people there. And they were all sitting there watching this, and they were into this. Like, it may have to do with that The Equalizer was based off a show. Like, I totally get that that could be the case. But they were into this like I was in the John Wick Chapter 4, like back a few months ago. And it might just be Denzel Washington because no matter what movie it is, even if the movie's bad, he always gives it his all. I wanted to see if that was the case, so like right after I watched Equalizer 3, I watched The Tragedy of Macbeth that he did a couple of years ago, and he was incredible in that too, so it could very well be that Denzel Washington is just very good at what he does. I don't want to say that necessarily carries the movie at all, because as an action fan, I think this has good sequences, and as I said earlier, I like the emphasis on the good people of Sicily, but was anyone coming for just action, or were they coming specifically for Denzel Washington? There's also a CIA subplot with Robert McCall and a CIA agent played by Dakota Fanning, a nice little reunion from Man on Fire from a while ago. Their scenes are good together, but mainly I wanted to focus on the people of Sicily because I think they legitimately did a pretty good job with that. I feel like I should note, I didn't have this in my notes, but I feel like I should note that this is like the 5th time that Denzel Washington and director Antoine Fuqua have worked together. And you can see that partnership in just, it feels like how much they're feeding off of each other, because I think I've seen a good amount of Fuqua's movies. It feels like he's working on a whole nother level here. There's some beautiful shots of Italy in this that honestly just look great, and it feels like Fuqua just leveled up with this, and I am very impressed with that. I don't know how much of an emphasis has been put on this, but this is apparently the last one in this trilogy, or at least until Denzel Washington says he wants to make another one. Yeah, Antoine Fuqua has pretty much said this is going to be the last one for now, although he's open to making a prequel, and he wants to talk to John David Washington about possibly playing Robert McCall in that. So I'm game for that. Yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on the Equalizer 3. Don't have a bunch to say about it. I think this was just a damn good time. I think it was surprisingly great. Denzel Washington, I don't want to say he carried the movie, but he was pretty fantastic in this. And I think like a story that's a little formulaic. You've seen this kind of movie before, but I think some good action sequences and also Denzel really help lift this. I'm gonna give The Equalizer 3 an 8 out of 10. I think you'll really enjoy it if you're into like maybe smaller scale action movies. I mean, it'll be right up your alley. All right, my question for you is, since this is the first time I'm really talking about Denzel on the channel, what is your favorite performance from Denzel Washington? There is that man has had a long career. He's gonna have more coming up pretty soon. He's gonna be playing the Emperor in Gladiator 2, which honestly is probably going to get me to see it either, no matter how good or bad it is. But either way, let me know your favorite Denzel Washington performance. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. See ya!